Hari Om. I'm going to speak today on the physiology of stress and stress response. Stress is a very important word for all of us, and we hear it every day. Oh, this is causing me stress. Oh, that is causing me stress. And then this stress is causing so many physical problems to me. Maybe I heard my friend getting diabetes because of stress. Someone has uh, heart attack because of stress, or someone has depression because of stress. So what is exactly this stress? So I'm going to speak on this stress because it is a central idea for yoga as well. Every technique of yoga, every component of yoga that we practice has a very direct effect on stress, and it certainly reduces the stress levels. So yoga is very beneficial. But to understand the effects of yoga, first we have to understand what is stress. Stress is actually a life-saving response developed in our ancestors, and it is this response that allowed their survival. When there is a threat to our life, our survival. In the ancient times, our ancestors used to live in forest, and there were threats of wild animals such as tiger, lion, or even cobras, many other animals. And when there was a face-to-face situation where you confronted the animal, your body needed strength to save yourself. And there were two options. Either you could fight with that animal for your survival, or you could run away from that animal for your survival. So fighting for survival or running away for survival. And sometimes the word is used freeze. Sometimes you just pretend to be dead, just freeze, do nothing. That could also probably diffuse the threat. So this fight or flight response or stress response was developed for saving our life. Now I'm going to go to the physiology of stress, but I'm not going to make it more complicated. The stress response as a physiological action, how it works? It works in two different ways. The first one is called SAM axis. SAM is sympathoadrenomedular axis. So it works through the sympathetic nervous system, and the sympathetic nervous system through your brain, then brainstem, directly activates your adrenal gland. Adrenal gland is located just above your kidneys, so behind your navel in the spine. And this adrenal gland secretes stress hormones. There are three different stress hormones that are secreted. So now this SAM axis or adrenal medullary axis, adrenomedullary axis triggers noradrenaline and adrenaline hormones from your adrenal gland. But the second axis is called HPA axis, hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, and this axis secretes glucocorticoids or cortisol. So now both these axes, when they are triggered because of the stress reaction, there are three different stress hormones that are secreted into your blood. The whole stress reaction that happens in our body is a result of these three hormones. So let's see the effect of these three hormones. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. Adrenaline and noradrenaline, these two hormones are short-acting hormones, and their effect does not remain for a very long time. But the hormone cortisol is a long-acting hormone which is secreted by the HPA axis, hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. Even if you forget the axis, it doesn't matter. What you can remember is these hormones and their effects. This cortisol hormone is what is implicated in chronic stress. So all the stress related disorders that we encounter in our life are mostly connected with this cortisol. So let's study this stress reaction, what these three hormones do, and then what is that cortisol, what it does that affects our health. So this fight or flight reaction, it actually starts in our brain. There's a part called amygdala in our brain, so it starts there. And then this amygdala triggers another part in our brain called hypothalamus. And this hypothalamus triggers pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is called is the most important gland which controls all other hormonal glands. It controls the thyroid gland, it controls the adrenal gland, it controls the gonads or reproductive glands. So anyway, so this pituitary gland triggers the adrenal gland and cortisol is secreted. At the same time, the sympathetic nervous system triggers adrenaline or epinephrine. So simultaneously there are three hormones: adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. What does this cortisol do? It basically increases your blood pressure. Why you need blood pressure? Higher blood pressure, the body has to make sure that your vital organs like brain and all your different muscles, they get a lot of good blood supply. For that, the heart is also accelerated. The lung also start breathing fast. There is increase in blood sugar. The blood sugar is converted from liver into the blood. And then there is a boost of energy. Also, cortisol turns fatty acids into energy. So there is continuous demand of energy. For what? For your muscles, so that you can fight or you can run away, flight. While the energy is being produced for these muscles, there are some other things that happen. The digestive organs, stomach, intestines, their action is slowed down because digestion is not very important during this stress situation, because you're fighting a wild animal, for example, and it's a question of your life and death. So digestion is not very relevant. If you save yourself, the digestion can start again. That's exactly the evolutionary idea. And that's why this stress reaction actually slows down the digestion or sometimes even stops the digestion. Also, the immune system is suppressed during stress reaction because the bacteria, the body can fight little later. Immune system takes a lot of energy. Digestive system takes a lot of energy. So if you can save that energy and pass it on to the muscles get a lot more energy, which is immediate threat. So then there are certain other small changes that happen, like dilation of pupil, so you can see more, you can notice little things, you can notice fast movements of that animal, and you can prepare yourself. These physiological changes basically increase your energy, blood flow to the muscles, as I already mentioned it. The blood sugar is also high, the blood glucose level, so that your cells get a lot of energy. The blood clotting mechanism of the body is also speed up. In case of any injury, the blood should clot fast. Otherwise, If the blood is not clotting faster, then excessive blood loss may result in death or severe injuries. So basically, this is the stress reaction, which is all good because it has saved the life of all our ancestors in the past, and that's why we are all alive. So it's something that is a good thing. Now, if I am calling it a life-saving reaction, then why we blame the stress these days? And this is something that is more important for us to focus on. So let's move on. What has happened in the last decade, last maybe 100 years, maybe 50, 60, 70 years, and especially last 30 years? The human beings have moved to something called cities. Now, the challenges that we face in our day-to-day life are not like the challenges our ancestors faced. We don't have to face a tiger. We don't have to face a cobra every day. But instead of the tiger, what we face is office work. And in the office, the job that we have got, we have attached our survival with that job. The status that that job has brought us, we have attached our survival to that. So any problem with that job, we take it as a survival issue. The boss telling us something, we take it as survival, threat to survival. Relationships are very crucial for our life. So these relationships, if there are any problems, we take that as a threat to our survival. And then what is happening is any little incidents in the office or any little incidents in the home with the partner is resulting in stress reaction. Now the evolutionary response of our body to this stress or to this stressor, the stressor is maybe relationship, maybe office, maybe traffic, maybe a failure in the exam, maybe problems with our health. So all of these stressors, they trigger the stress response, and our body only knows the response of fight or flight. So every time we face the boss, there is a stress response and the muscles get more blood, the glucose is sent to these muscles, the energy is sent to these muscles, the blood pressure is increased, the immune system is suppressed, the digestion is also suppressed. But the thing is, you can't really fight with the boss, because if you fight, you lose the job, and if you run away, you anyway lose the job. So the fight or flight response is not really suitable in that situation. But because the evolution, body evolution, the response has evolved in generations in such a way that we really don't know how to react. With the relationship also, if you fight, you anyway break the relations, and if you run away, anyway you lost it. So this situation, we really can't fight and we really can't flight, run away. And that's why it's a very problematic response to the current day's challenges that we face. And what that does is every time we have these little incidences, the cortisol levels go high up. And when they go high up, it takes time for the body to come back to normal. But before the body comes back to normal, there is some another incidence. And again that triggers the stress response. So what is happening is the cortisol levels remain higher for a very long time. And this is what is happening in chronic stress. And what that does, anxiety and depression are the direct result of continuously stimulated fight or flight or stress response. The digestive problems that we develop, acidity, colitis, ulcers, indigestion, they are also directly related to stress response. The more number of times the stress response is going to be triggered, my digestion is going to be suppressed. A point comes when I really can't, my digestive system can't really function normally, and that's when I develop these problems. Heart diseases, cortisol, higher cortisol levels, they're putting excessive stress on heart, and that results in wear and tear of heart muscles. There's the cardiovascular disease developed as a direct result of higher stress hormones such as cortisol. Asthma, diabetes, higher blood sugar. When the stress is there, the glucose, the blood glucose is higher. Higher blood glucose is good for energy, but higher blood glucose also damages many other organs. So continuous stress, which is resulting in higher levels of glucose, is also damaging to our body. Then headaches, sleep problems. The cortisol affects the sleep patterns. If there is high cortisol, you can't sleep. So sleep problems are affected. If sleep is affected, your nervous system is again affected. Then the direct reaction, direct result of continuous stress is also obesity or weight gain. And this obesity brings all these diseases again with it. Obesity is known to cause heart diseases, is a very strong uh, uh, risk factor for diabetes, is a strong risk factor for cancer. So all of these diseases again are connected with obesity, and obesity is a direct result of stress also. Then nervous system related disorders like Alzheimer's or memory or concentration impairment, dementia, they are also connected with stress. There are some studies that say that you age faster if you are stressed. Accelerated aging is a result of stress. And a very important point is immune system. If you are stressed continuously, your immune system is suppressed. And if immune system is suppressed, then you are vulnerable to all sorts of diseases, even communicable diseases, even diseases that spread because your immune system is compromised. Immune system compromised, cancer is also a possibility. So many autoimmune disorders develop because of stress. Arthritis is one such autoimmune disorder. There are some other autoimmune diseases related to the digestion, Crohn's disease and all of that. So immune system is also influenced by the stress. Now if you look at the stress, the anger is also a stress, direct activation or activation of fight or flight. Depression is also stress, continuous stress causing dysfunctional stress response. Anxiety is hypersensitive stress response. So if you say anger, depression, anxiety, they are just the forms of stress. So stress as such becomes really bad if it is chronic, if it is chronically stimulated by the chronic stressor. So I hope you have understood the basics of the stress physiology, because we are going to use this knowledge of stress response in while we learn the effects of different yoga components on stress. So I'm going to stop here. Hari Om.